Another Cowboys versus Bills preview made possible today by True Classics. Special holiday sale going on right now, up to 60% off. TrueClassic.com/chat sports. Use that link to get the special deal. The Cowboys on the road this Saturday against the Buffalo Bills. Sunday, excuse me. They are a 2-point road underdog. I think that actually feels about right. Buffalo has been favored in a lot of these games. Chiefs, Eagles, Bills, or Cowboys always been at least narrow underdogs. They're a much better team than that 7-6 mark indicates, and they are pushing like hell for a playoff spot. Plus, they're at home, and that would be a couple point favorite if Dallas was hosting the Bills. I think again sounds about right. Before we get into the preview, some players to watch, matchups to watch, injury updates too. Predict the score for me of the Cowboys against the Bills. Sound off in the comments right now. Some notable illnesses here. Micah Parsons getting over it. Jalen Tolbert plus Brandin Cooks, Stephon Gilmore battling it. It also swept through the Chat Sports Dallas office, so that tends to be pretty similar. When everyone starts getting sick, then the Cowboys players end up getting sick because, hey, we're both in Dallas. Go figure, right? So been a roughly 2-day illness, bordering on some 3 for some folks. So in theory, that dealt with it on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, then good to go on Sunday. But we'll see if maybe Tolbert's a bit limited potentially. I think Gilmore and Cooks will be just fine. Rico Dowdle, limited again. He'll be fine. He played through it last week. Hankins is not going to go. I don't know if Malik Hooker will. That one, if he didn't get a limited rep in Friday, Saturday, it's tough. So we'll see on Malik Hooker. All right, top matchups to watch in this football game. Number 1 is the Cowboys' short/quick game. And what I mean by that is their short area of the field passing. The Buffalo Bills this season have allowed the shortest defensive ADOT. That's average depth of target. How far downfield are teams throwing the football against you? Now, historically, these lower-ranking teams fit into 2 buckets. They play a bunch of shell coverage, so everything is in front of them. They are normally not the best defenses because you're not forcing chunk shots downfield, trying to get big chunk plays because you're losing matchups, or they blitz a lot, and it's designed short, quick passing game because they're showing blitzes. Bills, 6.4, significantly low. I do not think you will see many blitzes. I think you will see more of the controlled, trying to keep everything in front of them defense because Sean McDermott's been a relatively conservative play caller since taking over. Number 2 matchup, the Bills pass rushers, I should say, against the Cowboys offensive line. The Bills don't blitz much. They will let Leonard Floyd, Ed Oliver having great years this season. Gregory Rousseau is breaking out. Von Miller's Von Miller, but he hasn't been that effective this year. I think they will try to go at Terrence Steele. That is my suspicion. Steele's numbers have been not great this year, coming off of his shredded knee, but it's been a bit disappointing. He has been better since that disastrous first Eagles game. Much improved. There will be chip help for him from Jake Ferguson and Tony Pollard. What is your confidence level in beating the Buffalo Bills this week? Scale it for me from 1 to 10. 1 the low end, 10 the high end. It's the pinned comment. That ad comes here on YouTube. Take advantage of it and go vote. Top match to watch, number 3. Number 4, you'll see, is very similar. It's Jake Ferguson against, I'll call it the back 7. I really mean the Bills' spine of their defense, which is kind of those linebackers, occasionally the nickel corner, and the safeties. Micah Hyde's a bit banged up right now. The Bills really miss Matt Milano, who is not quite as good as Fred Warner, but not far behind him. Linebacker. They've gotten surprisingly decent play from Terrell Dotson and Terrell Bernard. Those guys have kind of regressed a little bit as of late. I think you can see Jake Ferguson have very big success against the Buffalo Bills. Remember, Travis Kelce, I think people are trying, I'm not sure I buy it, are trying to make Jake Ferguson the next Travis Kelce. Kelce went for 683 yards against the Bills. Does not include the fun trick play that they ran, which also was, Kadarius Toney was, the full yard, whatever, offsides. So I think Fergie, our guy, Freaky Fergie, can have a big game. Again, he's had 2 straight games of 70-plus yards against the Bills. Today's show is made possible by True Classic. Whatever you are wearing, polos like I'm wearing today, hoodies, they've got awesome jeans, T-shirts, joggers. They've added lightweight puffer jackets as well. True Classic has everything you need to look good, feel good, and then play good as well. It is the perfect gift to add to your own holiday wish list or get for the men in your life, whether that is your husband, your boyfriend, your dad, your father-in-law. It will always go over well. My father-in-law says he loves his True Classic shorts that I got. Says they are fantastic, some of the best that he has. If you are ready to upgrade your closet, then shop now at trueclassic.com/chatsports. They're having a holiday sale, limited time only right now, up to 60% off. Get yours today, trueclassic.com/chatsports. Number 4 matchup is the inverse, right? It's the Bills tight ends against the Cowboys, the spine, the back seven, the safeties, the linebackers, right? The Bills, they had grandiose plans of, we're going to draft Dalton Kincaid, who they thought the Cowboys were going to take. They were not going to. Dallas was not drafting Dalton Kincaid. They actually liked Sam Laporta more, by the way. But Buffalo was worried, so they jumped him. That's fine. There were plenty of buzz around Cowboys tight ends. That's how it goes. They had plans that we're going to employ a 2 tight end personnel, Dalton Kincaid, Dawson Knox, and we're going to let those 2 guys have great success because teams will be like, oh, it's 2 tight ends. By personnel rules, we have to go plug in, our extra linebacker. Well, that was not the case because turns out teams are like, yeah, those guys can't block. So we're going to put 2 stages. It ended up being, the reality is those guys don't play together as much as maybe you thought they were going to. Simply put, because Kincaid's a better pass catcher, Knox has missed time with injuries, and they don't block well enough. Quinton Morris blocks pretty well. When he comes in, that's a sign that this fireball might end up being a run-blocking play, but they don't block well enough to work together. But Kincaid's been very impactful this year. Number 5 matchup is the corners against Stefon Diggs. I am very curious who draws Diggs. Stephon Gilmore had great success against A.J. Brown, a bigger receiver, than Daron Bland did against DK Metcalf. That was a rough game for Bland. That was the one bad game he's had this year. Bland's numbers have now jumped up a bit in the wrong direction. He was around 50%, 300 yards and 1 touchdown. Then Seattle, and even the Commanders to a certain extent, had great success, but there was respect paid by Philadelphia. They did not look his way. 4 times, 2 catches, I think 8 yards. That was it. I wonder if the Bills try something similar because they're tired of pick sixes. But maybe Allen's a gunslinger. He might take some shots down there. So I'm curious who draws Diggs the most. I don't know if they're going to have Gilmore follow necessarily. I almost wonder if Bland matches up better against Diggs and Gilmore against Gabe Davis. Is not that good, but is a bigger receiver and is prone to, massive games or also being completely MIA and having 0 catches. Diggs is still Diggs. Numbers are down this year. He's a very dynamic playmaker. Will Daron Bland get a pick this week? Can he extend his NFL lead for interceptions this year and maybe make another pick 6 happen as well? Why for yes and for no in the comments section. Some top players to watch then. How about number 5? Again, we're not going to do the best players each week. We talked about Dak earlier this week. No Micah today. Instead, about DeMarcus Lawrence, the defensive end for the Dallas Cowboys. The sack numbers are not great, only 4. There are many times like, take it free. Oh, Micah beat him there. That's how it tends to go. The pressure rate remains very good at this stage. 14% is awesome production, all things considered. He's been very impactful there. He's a good run stopper, too. Bills will try to run it some more with James Cook. You need backside tank being awesome. Number 4, how about Michael Gallup? Obviously, Brandin Cooks, Jalen Tolbert, both under the weather. I think they'll be fine. But Gallup had one of his best games in a while against Philadelphia. And I would assume Rasul Douglas, if he's not guarding CeeDee Lamb, would end up being matched up against Brandin Cooks, which means Christian Benford, who's been fine, been solid for Buffalo, has kind of seen his numbers fluctuate a bit since the injury to Trey White, who will not be out there. I think that could be a decent matchup for Gallup. Just don't overfeed him. I think a pitch count, a target count maybe is a better route for Gallup this year. Are you back in on Michael Gallup following that awesome sideline catch, the touchdown, etc. against Philadelphia? A for yes or B for no. Number 3, Deone Clark. I've been very impressed by Marquise Bell. I think Clark's been solid. Had to step up into a big key role with Leighton Vander Esch out. Bell was really good in pass coverage there. Clark's been solid-ish. He gets some of the he gets the easier matchups, like, Marquise Bell is asked to do more in coverage, and then that's for the best. That's how, Dan Quinn's smart. He knows that. Clark's probably going to get to 100 tackles this year. But the splash plays, it's still looking for a little bit more. We saw James Hooks has some occasional fumbling problems. Maybe Deone Clark can make a big impact play there. The full-on breakout hasn't happened. Wouldn't say he's been a liability, though, this year either. Number 2, Tony Pollard, the running back. Pollard's rushing numbers are down this year. He's averaging barely 4.1 yards per carry, full yard less than it was last season, despite the carry numbers now almost being the same. It's an offensive line issue as far as I'm concerned. But he's also one of 2 players all year with at least 50 scrimmage yards in each game. It's him and this guy I might have heard of, Christian McCaffrey. The weather going to be colder than what Dallas is accustomed to. Also might be a little bit windy. It's Buffalo. It normally is fairly windy, which means you might see Dallas lean a little bit heavier on Tony Pollard and Rico Dowdle as well. He was involved in the passing game last week a bit more heavily against Philadelphia. I wonder if they try to get some ground game stuff going. After all, guys like Jordan Phillips not been that good this year for the Bills. And we have Cowboys videos each and every single day. Plus, of course, we're going to be live for this Cowboys-Bills matchup. So make sure you are subscribed. YouTube.com/CowboysTV. The final player to watch, Mazy Smith. Hankins is not going to go. It means the first-round pick, who has not started a game all season long, Hankins has always been ahead of him, is going to get a chance to show what he has learned in his time with the Dallas Cowboys. Mike McCarthy has always been positive. He has always said Mazy's doing great stuff. He's delivering. He's stepping up. He looks great in practice, etc., etc., etc. Now it's Mazy Smith's time to shine. I always said patience is needed. Can you get some better stuff from him as the year goes on? We are in December. Might be some runs involved today, or Sunday. Let's see what Mazy can do. My final score prediction. I think it's time for a Brandon Aubrey, the alien himself, a walk-off field goal. Give me Dallas to win 27-26. This could be one of those games. Whichever quarterback gets the ball last finds a way to deliver. Give me Dallas. They've lost one game all year when I said they were going to win. So I'm going to keep doing that a lot down the stretch here.